The cargo ship HSS Carolina drifted through the darkness of space, its engines humming softly as it made its way toward the frontier colonies. Inside the bridge, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair watching the stars pass by on the view screen. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many years of space travel. His uniform was clean but worn at the edges. "Course correction in 5 minutes, Captain," said Lisa Grant from her station. She was the first officer, a woman in her early 30s with short black hair and quick hands that moved across her control panel with practiced ease. Jake nodded. "Good. How are we looking, Danny?" From the engineering station, Danny Price looked up from his displays. He was a stocky man with oil stains on his jumpsuit and a friendly smile. "All systems running smooth, Captain. The old girl is holding together just fine." Kelly Brooks, the communications officer, turned in her seat. She was young, maybe 25, with blonde hair tied back in a tight ponytail. "Nothing on the scanners, sir. Space is quiet out here." Jake smiled slightly. "That's what worries me." The crew laughed, but there was tension underneath. They all knew the Outer Reach sector had problems. Ships went missing here. Raiders attacked convoys. But the Carolina had a schedule to keep and the colonists needed their supplies. "Starting course correction now," Lisa announced. Her fingers danced across her controls. The ship's engines changed their tone and the Carolina began to slow down. They would drop out of faster-than-light travel for a few minutes, adjust their heading, and then continue on. The stars on the view screen shifted and stretched as the ship fell back into normal space. For a moment, everything was peaceful. Then Kelly's station erupted with warning signals. "Contact!" she shouted. "Multiple ships decloaking around us. 4 vessels, heavy weapons signatures." Jake's jaw tightened. "Battle stations. Shields up." The view screen changed to show their surroundings. 4 alien warships had appeared from nowhere, forming a box around the Carolina. They were ugly things, all sharp angles and weapon ports painted in dark red and black colors. Jake recognized them immediately. "Zarthan Raiders," he said quietly. Lisa's hands moved quickly. "Shields are up, but Captain, we're surrounded." "Those are warships and we're just a cargo hauler." "I know what we are," Jake said. He stood up from his chair and straightened his uniform. "Kelly, open a channel." Before Kelly could respond, one of the alien ships sent them a message. The view screen changed to show a Zarthan face. The creature looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect, with 4 yellow eyes and a mouthful of sharp teeth. Its skin was covered in dark scales and it wore armor decorated with strange symbols. "Human vessel," the alien said, its voice translated by the ship's computer. "I am War Leader Krelvor of the Zarthan hunting fleet. You are surrounded and outgunned. Power down your engines and surrender your ship. Your crew will be taken as property. Resist and we will destroy you. You have 1 minute to comply." The transmission ended. The alien's face disappeared from the screen. Danny swore under his breath. "Captain, those ships have enough firepower to tear us apart." "What do we do?" Jake walked slowly back to his command chair. He sat down and crossed his legs, looking completely calm. "Kelly, open a channel to that ship." "Channel open, sir." Jake leaned forward slightly. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the HSS Carolina. Negative on your demand. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this position, or you will face consequences." Lisa turned to stare at him. "Captain?" The view screen showed Krelvor's face again. The alien was laughing, a horrible clicking sound. "Consequences? Human, you command a cargo ship. We have 4 warships. You have no weapons. You have no chance. This is your last opportunity to surrender." Jake's expression didn't change. 20 seconds, Krelvor's eyes narrowed. "You are either brave or stupid. It makes no difference. My ships will now demonstrate what happens to those who refuse the Zarthan." The transmission ended. "Captain, what are you doing?" Lisa asked, her voice rising. "We can't fight them." Jake reached down to a hidden panel on his armrest. He pressed a sequence of buttons and a new display appeared. "Kelly, send an emergency signal. Authorization code Delta 77 Black. Full military frequency." Kelly's eyes went wide. "Sir, that's a Navy code. We're a civilian ship." "Just send it," Jake said calmly. Kelly's hands flew across her controls. "Signal sent, sir." On the view screen, the Zarthan ships were moving into attack positions. Their weapons began to glow with building energy. "Incoming fire," Lisa shouted. Danny gripped his station. "This is it." Bright beams of energy lanced out from the Zarthan warships, crossing the distance to the Carolina in seconds. The crew braced for impact, but Jake just watched the view screen with a slight smile. The weapons hit the Carolina's shields. The ship shook, but not as badly as it should have. The shields held, glowing bright blue where the energy struck them. Krelvor's face appeared on the screen again, but this time the alien wasn't laughing. How? Your shields should have failed. Cargo ships don't have military-grade defenses. Jake finally smiled. This isn't just a cargo ship, Krelvor, and you just made a very big mistake. What are you talking about, human? You attacked a human vessel, Jake said. Did you really think we would just let raiders operate in our space? We've been tracking your attacks for months. We knew you were out here. We knew your patterns. And we set a trap. Krelvor's face showed something that might have been fear. You lie. You are alone. You have no reinforcements. Check your scanners, Jake said. For a moment there was silence. Then alarms began wailing on the Zarthen ships. On the Carolina's bridge, Kelly looked at her displays and her mouth fell open. Captain, I'm reading faster than light signatures. Multiple ships inbound. They're big, sir. Really big. Jake stood up from his chair. That's the United Earth Navy, Krelvor. And they're here for you. The view screen showed space itself beginning to tear open in 6 different locations. Through each tier, the nose of a massive warship appeared, emerging from faster-than-light travel. They were beautiful and terrible, all sleek lines and weapon arrays, each one 3 times the size of a Zarthen raider. The human battle group had arrived. Krelvor's face disappeared from the screen. The Zarthen ships tried to turn, tried to run, but the human warships had positioned themselves perfectly. Every escape route was blocked. Jake sat back down in his chair. Lisa, damage report. Shields at 80%, Captain. All systems normal. No hull damage. Good. Jake looked at his crew. They were all staring at him with wide eyes. I suppose I should explain. We've been working with naval intelligence for the past 3 months. Our job was to attract raiders and keep them busy until the Navy could arrive. The Carolina has been modified with military shields, armor, and sensors. We were the bait. Danny let out a long breath. You could have told us, Captain. Need to know basis, Jake said. Sorry about that. On the view screen, one of the human warships moved forward. Its weapons were charging, glowing with deadly light. A voice came over the communications channel, crisp and military. This is Admiral Christine Hayes of the United Earth Navy to all Zarthen vessels. You are surrounded and outgunned. But we're not going to give you the option you gave this cargo ship. You wanted to show what happens when someone refuses the Zarthen. Now we'll show you what happens when you attack humans. The first human weapons fired and the battle began. 15 minutes earlier, the battleship HSS Vengeance had been cruising through space on patrol. The bridge was quiet, with crew members working at their stations in calm efficiency. This was a military vessel, and everything about it showed that fact. The walls were gray metal, the lighting was bright and even, and every person wore a crisp Navy uniform. Admiral Christine Hayes stood near the center of the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. She was a woman in her 50s with short silver hair and sharp blue eyes that missed nothing. She had commanded fleets for 20 years, and she was very good at her job. Admiral, called out Lieutenant Commander Sam Parker from the tactical station. He was a lean man with dark skin and careful eyes. We're receiving a signal. Emergency frequency, military authorization code. Christine turned. Source? The HSS Carolina, ma'am. They've activated the beacon. A smile crossed Christine's face. Finally. How long have we been waiting for those raiders to take the bait? 12 days, Admiral, said Captain Ryan Brooks, the ship's commanding officer. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a deep voice. The Carolina has been running that route 3 times a week. And now the Zarthen have made their move, Christine said. She raised her voice. All hands, battle stations. Navigation. Plot a jump to the Carolina's coordinates. Communications. Signal the task group. We're going in. Throughout the ship, alarms began to sound. Crew members ran to their positions. In the hangar bays, fighter pilots sprinted to their ships. In the Marine quarters, Major Linda Chen was already shouting orders to her troops. Linda was a muscular woman with her black hair cut military short. She moved through the preparation area, checking her Marines as they put on their combat armor. Listen up. We've been tracking these Zarthen raiders for months. They've been attacking civilian ships and taking slaves. Today that ends. We're going to board their ships, secure them, and gather every piece of evidence we can find. I want prisoners, not bodies. Is that clear? Yes, ma'am, the Marines shouted in unison. Back on the bridge, Sam had brought up tactical displays. Admiral, I have the task group confirming. All 6 ships are ready to jump. The Vengeance, the Liberty, the Constitution, the Defiant, the Ranger, and the Guardian. We'll have them surrounded, Christine nodded. Good, what do we know about the enemy? The Carolina reports 4 Zarthan warships, heavy class. They match the signatures from previous attacks. The raiders have followed their standard pattern. Surround the target, demand surrender, threaten destruction. And what's the Carolina's status? Sam checked his displays. Shields are holding at 80% after their first attack, no damage. The Zarthan probably can't believe a cargo ship has military-grade defenses. Ryan smiled. I wish I could see their faces when they realized they'd been tricked. You will, Christine said. Navigation, are we ready? The navigation officer, a young woman named Beth, nodded quickly. Coordinates locked in, Admiral. Jump drive charged. We can go on your order. Christine looked at the view screen, which showed the peaceful stars around them. In a few moments, this would turn into a battlefield. She had done this many times before, but it never got routine. Human lives were at stake. Even though the Carolina's crew had volunteered for this mission and knew the risks, she still felt responsible for them. But more than that, she felt anger. The Zarthan had been attacking ships in human space for months. They had killed people. They had taken slaves. Intelligence reports said they had prisoners from at least a dozen different species. And they did it because they thought no one would stop them. Admiral, Ryan said quietly. Christine took a breath. All ships execute jump now. Space bent around the 6 warships. Light stretched and twisted as they entered faster than light travel. The journey would take only seconds. The Zarthan would have no warning, no time to escape. Inside the Vengeance, everything shook slightly as they traveled through the distorted space. Then just as suddenly they emerged into normal space again. The view screen showed the Carolina surrounded by 4 Zarthan warships. The alien vessels looked like predators circling prey, but now 6 human warships had appeared around them in perfect formation, one emerging from each direction. Tactical positioning confirmed, Sam announced. All escape vectors blocked. We have them in a perfect box. Weapon status? Christine asked. All railguns charged, missile tubes loaded, point defense systems active. We're ready to fire on your command, Admiral. Christine studied the Zarthan ships. They were already trying to turn, their engines flaring as they realized they were trapped. She opened a communication channel that would reach all of them. This is Admiral Christine Hayes of the United Earth Navy. To all Zarthan vessels, you made a mistake today. You attacked a human ship. You thought you were hunting prey, but you were wrong. One of the Zarthan ships tried to respond, but Christine cut the channel. She looked at Ryan. They had their chance to leave raiders alone. They chose violence. Now they get the consequences. Orders, Admiral? Ryan asked. Signal to all ships, weapons free. Disable their engines and weapons, but I want those ships intact. We need their computer systems and their prisoners. Show them what human military doctrine looks like. Ryan turned to Sam. You heard the Admiral. Coordinate with the task group. Let's make this quick and clean. Sam's fingers moved across his controls. Targeting solutions locked. Coordinating firing patterns. All ships report ready. The 6 human warships moved in perfect coordination, a dance they had practiced 100 times. The Vengeance fired first, its railguns sending metal slugs at incredible speeds. The projectiles crossed the distance in less than a second and slammed into one of the Zarthan ships. The alien vessel's shields flared and collapsed. The railgun rounds punched through its hull, destroying its engine section in a series of explosions. The ship went dark and began to drift. The other human warships fired in sequence. Missiles streaked through space, their contrails bright against the darkness. The Zarchan ships tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. Explosions rippled across alien hulls. First Zarthan ship disabled, Sam reported. Second ship losing power. Third ship attempting evasive maneuvers. Fourth ship is the flagship. It's trying to run. Don't let it, Christine said calmly. The Constitution and the Defiant moved to intercept. Their weapons fired in careful, measured shots, each one aimed to cripple rather than destroy. The Zarthan flagship tried to turn, its engines burning hot, but it was too slow. A missile strike took out its main drive and it began spinning helplessly. All targets disabled, Admiral, Sam announced. Total engagement time, 97 seconds, Christine nodded slowly. 97 seconds to defeat 4 warships. That would send a message. Status of the Carolina? Carolina reports all systems normal. No additional damage. Captain Morrison sends his compliments and says the bait worked perfectly. Good. Signal the Liberty to launch fighters. I want combat air patrol around our positions. The Ranger and Guardian will secure the perimeter. Vengeance, Constitution, and Defiant will handle boarding operations. She turned to the communications officer. Get me Major Chen. A moment later, Linda's face appeared on a screen. She was already in her combat armor, helmet under her arm. Marines are ready, Admiral. We're going to visit our new friends. Good hunting, Major. Remember, we need their computers intact and we need prisoners for interrogation. I want to know where their slave station is. Linda's smile was cold. Understood, Admiral. We'll get you everything you need. The transmission ended. Christine looked at the view screen, where the 4 Zarthen ships drifted helplessly, surrounded by human warships. One battle was over. But she knew the real work was just beginning. They had captured the raiders. Now they had to find everyone else the Zarthen had taken, and then they had to make sure this never happened again. Ryan, she said quietly, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the trap worked. We have the raiders, and tell them to prepare for expanded operations. We're going to clean out this entire sector. Ryan nodded. It will be done, Admiral. Christine allowed herself a small smile. The Zarthen had ambushed a human ship expecting surrender. What they got instead was a lesson they would never forget. The space around the Carolina had become a graveyard. The 4 Zarthen warships floated like broken toys, their engines dark, their weapons silent. But even though the main battle was over, there was still work to do. Commander Alex Turner sat in the cockpit of his fighter, watching his display screens. He was a pilot in his early 30s with steady hands and quick reflexes. Around him, 20 other fighters from the carrier ship HSS Liberty flew in careful patterns, making sure no other threats appeared. Gold Squadron, this is Gold Leader, Alex said into his radio. Stay sharp. We're running security while the Marines do their job. Keep your scanners active and watch for any Zarthen reinforcements. His wingman, a pilot named Rachel Stone, responded immediately. Copy that, Gold Leader. Scanners are clear so far. Looks like these raiders were operating alone. Alex hoped she was right. The battle had been incredibly one-sided. The human warships had torn through the Zarthen vessels like they were made of paper. It had almost been too easy. That worried him. In his experience, when something seemed too easy in combat, it meant you were missing something. Below his fighter, if below meant anything in space, the Marine assault shuttles were approaching the disabled Zarthen ships. He watched them on his display, small dots moving toward much larger dots. Inside one of those shuttles, Major Linda Chen checked her rifle one more time. Around her, 30 Marines sat in their seats, locked into their combat armor. The armor was bulky but powerful, painted in dark gray with the Earth Navy symbol on the shoulder. 2 minutes to boarding, the pilot announced over the intercom. Linda stood up, gripping a handrail. Listen up! The Zarthen are known for being aggressive even when defeated. Expect resistance, but remember your orders. We need prisoners. We need their computers intact. We need information about their operations. Use stun weapons first. Lethal force only if you have no choice. The Marines nodded. They were professionals, trained for exactly this kind of operation. Linda had worked with most of them for years. She trusted them. Sergeant Amy Watson, sitting near the front, raised her voice. Major, what if they try to destroy their computers before we can secure them? Then we stop them, Linda said simply. Ensign Greg Stone will be with us. He's a tech specialist. His job is to get into their systems as fast as possible. Your job is to keep him alive while he does it. Greg, a thin young man with nervous eyes, nodded from his seat. He wasn't a Marine. He was a computer expert and he looked uncomfortable in his armor. But he was good at his job. Very good. The shuttle shook as it landed on the hull of the Zarthen flagship. Through the small windows, Linda could see the alien ship's dark metal surface. It was scarred and damaged from the battle, with holes blown through parts of the hull. Seal check, Linda ordered. Everyone checked their helmets and armor seals. In a few moments, they would cut through the Zarthen hull and enter the ship. There would be no air inside, or the air might be toxic to humans. The armor would keep them alive. Cutting through now, announced Sergeant Pete Morris, a big man with arms like tree trunks. He activated a plasma cutter and began burning through the alien hull. The metal glowed red, then white, then fell away. Beyond was darkness. Go, 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 Linda shouted. The Marines poured through the hole, their rifles raised and their helmet lights cutting through the dark. Linda went with them. her senses alert for any threat. The inside of the Zarthan ship was a mess. Cables hung from the ceiling. Smoke drifted through the corridors. Emergency lights flickered weakly. Spread out, Linda ordered. Teams of 3. Secure the route to the bridge. Stone, you're with me and Watson. The Marines moved quickly, their training evident in every action. They cleared rooms methodically, checking corners and doorways. They found Zarthan crew members huddled in damaged sections, scared and injured. The Marines stunned them and moved on. Linda led her small team toward the bridge. They passed through twisted corridors and climbed over debris. The Zarthan ship was larger inside than it looked from outside, with strange architecture that hurt human eyes to look at. Contact ahead, someone shouted over the radio. Weapon fire lit up a corridor to their left. Linda heard the distinctive sound of human stun rifles and the hissing scream of Zarthan energy weapons. Then silence. Contact neutralized, reported one of the Marine teams. 3 Zarthan stunned and secured. Continuing advance, Linda's team reached a large door. It was sealed, and symbols in alien language flashed on a panel beside it. Stone, can you open this? Greg stepped forward, pulling out a portable computer. He connected it to the alien panel with cables and adapters. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Give me a minute. Their security is actually pretty good. While Greg worked, Linda and Amy covered the corridor behind them. The ship was quiet except for distant sounds of the Marines securing other sections. It felt too quiet. Linda's instincts were screaming at her. Major, Amy said softly, something feels wrong. Where is everybody? We've only found a dozen Zarthan so far. A ship this size should have a crew of at least 50. Linda had been thinking the same thing. Stay alert. They might be planning something. Got it, Greg announced. The door hissed and began to open. Beyond was the bridge lit by emergency lighting. And on the bridge, surrounded by his remaining crew, was war leader Krelvor. The Zarthan commander stood in front of what looked like a computer terminal. In his clawed hand he held a device. His 4 yellow eyes stared at the humans with hatred. Human soldiers, Krelvor said, his voice translated by their suit computers. You have defeated us, but you will learn nothing. I am about to erase all data from our systems. You will never find our station. You will never free our prisoners, and you will pay for this insult to the Zarthan people. Linda raised her rifle, but she didn't fire. Don't do it. You've already lost. Don't make it worse. Krelvor's mouth opened in what might have been a laugh. Worse, you have destroyed my fleet. You have humiliated me. What could be worse? His claw moved toward a button on the device. Greg suddenly shouted, I'm in their wireless network, trying to lock him out. Everything happened at once. Krelvor pressed the button. Greg's fingers flew across his portable computer. Linda fired her stun rifle, but the Zarthan leader's armor absorbed the shot. Other Zarthan crew members tried to reach for weapons. Amy and the Marines behind them fired in controlled bursts. The alien crew fell, stunned but alive. Krelvor remained standing, his armor protecting him. He pressed the button again, harder. Almost there, Greg muttered. Just need another second. The computers on the bridge began to flicker. Data started to scroll across the screens, then slow down, then stop. Greg's face broke into a smile. Got it, I've locked him out. The data purge stopped at 12%. Most of the information is still intact. Krelvor roared in fury and charged at Greg. Linda stepped between them and fired her rifle 3 times at point-blank range. The third shot overwhelmed the armor, and the Zarthan commander finally fell unconscious. Secure the bridge, Linda ordered. Stone, get everything you can from those computers. I want coordinates, records, everything. Greg was already moving to the terminals, connecting his equipment. On it, Major. This is going to take a while, but I can already see files about prisoner transfers, station locations, and attack records. Linda activated her radio. Admiral Hayes, this is Chen. We have secured the flagship bridge. The Zarthan commander attempted to purge their data, but we stopped him. We have access to their computer systems. Christine's voice came back, calm and professional. Excellent work, Major. Download everything and prepare prisoners for transport. How many casualties? None on our side, Admiral. We have approximately 40 Zarthan prisoners from this ship, including their commander. Good. The other boarding teams report similar success. We now have all 4 ships secured. Continue your work, Major. Linda looked around the bridge. The unconscious Zarthan were being restrained by her Marines. Greg was pulling data from the computers, his face intense with concentration. Through the bridge windows, she could see the human warships surrounding them, powerful and vigilant. The Zarthan had ambushed a human cargo ship. They had expected an easy victory. What they got instead was total defeat, and now, the humans had everything they needed to finish the job. 3 hours after the battle, Admiral Christine Hayes stood in the interrogation room aboard the Vengeance, watching through a one-way window. On the other side of the glass, War Leader Krelvor sat in a chair designed for his alien body. His armor had been removed and restraints held his arms and legs. 2 armed Marines stood guard near the door. Across from Krelvor sat Commander Pete Morris, the Marine who had led one of the boarding teams. Pete was a big man who looked intimidating even when he was being friendly. Right now, he wasn't being friendly. Let's go over this again, Pete said, his voice tired but patient. We have your computer records. We know about the station. We know about the prisoners. We know about the 63 attacks your fleet conducted over the past year. We have evidence of everything. So you can either cooperate and make this easier, or you can stay silent. Either way, we're going to that station. Krelvor's 4 eyes stared at Pete with pure hatred. You know nothing about the Zarthan. We are a warrior people. We take what we want. The weak exist to serve the strong. This is the way of the universe, not anymore, Pete said. Not in human space. The alien made a sound like grinding metal, which the computer translated as laughter. Human space? You are one species among thousands. You think because you defeated 4 ships you are strong? The Zarthan Empire has hundreds of vessels, thousands of warriors. You have made an enemy you cannot defeat. Christine, watching from the other room, spoke into a radio. Pete, let me talk to him. Pete nodded and stood up. He left the room, and a moment later, Christine entered. She walked slowly to the chair and sat down, her posture relaxed. She studied Krelvor for a long moment without speaking. Finally, Krelvor broke the silence. You are the Admiral, the one who commanded the ambush. That's right, Christine said. Admiral Christine Hayes, you tricked us. You used your own people as bait. What kind of leader risks her own kind? The kind who trusts her people, Christine replied. Captain Morrison and his crew volunteered for that mission. They knew the risks. They wanted to stop you from hurting anyone else. Krelvor's eyes narrowed. Sentiment. This is a weakness. The Zarthan do not indulge in such foolishness. Christine leaned forward slightly. Let me explain something to you, Krelvor. You made a mistake today. Actually, you made several mistakes. Your first mistake was operating in human space. Your second mistake was attacking civilian vessels. Your third mistake was taking prisoners and selling them as slaves. But your biggest mistake was thinking we would just let it continue. You cannot stop all of us, Krelvor said. For every ship you destroy, 5 more will come. Will they? Christine asked. Because I don't think so. You see, we've been studying your people. We know your empire is fragmented. Your raiders operate independently, each war leader trying to build their own reputation. You're not a unified threat. You're just criminals. Krelvor said nothing, but his eyes showed something that might have been uncertainty. Christine continued. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to your station. We're going to free every prisoner you've taken. We're going to destroy your operation completely. And then we're going to send a message to every Zarthan raider in the sector. We're going to tell them what happened to you. We're going to show them images of your defeated fleet. And we're going to make it very clear that human space is off limits. You cannot threaten the Zarthan, Krelvor said, but his voice lacked conviction. It's not a threat, Christine said. It's a promise. And here's the thing about humans, Krelvor. We keep our promises. We believe in something called proportional response. You attacked one of our ships. So we're not just going to punish you. We're going to eliminate the entire threat. Every raider, every station, everything. When we're done, the Zarthan will remember that attacking humans is a very bad idea. She stood up and walked toward the door. You'll remain in custody until we return you to your government. They can decide what to do with a war leader who failed so completely. I'm told that Zarthan culture doesn't treat failure kindly. Krelvor's scales seemed to pale slightly at that. Christine left the room and met with her senior officers in the conference room nearby. Captain Ryan Brooks, Major Linda Chen, and Ensign Greg Stone were already there, along with Commander Alex Turner and several others. Report, Christine said, taking her seat at the head of the table. Greg spoke first. His nervousness from earlier replaced with excitement. Admiral, the data we recovered is incredible. The Zarthan kept detailed records of everything. I have the coordinates of their main station. I have records of 2,117 prisoners from 17 different species. I have financial records showing they were selling prisoners to various buyers across 3 sectors, and I have communications logs that mention at least 20 other Zarthen raiding groups. Christine nodded slowly. 20 other groups. That's more than we thought. Yes, ma'am, Greg continued. But most of them are small operations. 3 or 4 ships each. The largest group has 8 vessels. None of them are as organized as Krelvor's fleet was. What about the station? Ryan asked. It's in the Kepler belt about 2 days away at maximum speed. It's built into a large asteroid. Moderate defenses, but nothing our task force can't handle. According to the records, it has a permanent crew of about 200 Zarthen and currently houses over 800 prisoners. Linda leaned forward. 800. That's a lot of people to evacuate safely. Which is why we need to plan this carefully, Christine said. She looked at Alex. Commander Turner, I want your fighters ready for continuous patrol once we arrive. If any Zarthen ships try to flee or call for help, I want them stopped. Yes, ma'am, Alex replied. Christine turned to Ryan. How long until we can move out? The captured Zarthen ships are being towed by the Guardian and the Ranger. They'll follow us back to Earth space eventually. The rest of the task force can depart within the hour. Good. Greg, I want you to analyze those communications logs. Find out where the other raider groups operate. Send that information to Earth Command. We're going to coordinate a sector-wide operation to eliminate all of them simultaneously. Greg's eyes widened. All of them? At once? Why not? Christine said. We have the element of surprise. We know where they are. We have superior technology. And we have the motivation. These raiders have been terrorizing this sector for years. It's time to clean house. Linda smiled. The Zarthen wanted to show what happens when you refuse them. We're going to show them what happens when you attack humans. Exactly, Christine agreed. She stood up. Gentlemen, lady, we have our orders. Let's free those prisoners and end this raider threat. And let's make sure the galaxy understands that humanity protects not just our own, but anyone who needs protection. Dismissed. The officers left to prepare their departments. Christine remained alone in the conference room for a moment, looking at the star charts on the display screen. The Zarthen station was marked with a red dot. She thought about the 800 prisoners there. Different species, different worlds, all taken from their lives and sold like objects. Some of them had probably been captive for months. Some might have given up hope, but hope was coming. The United Earth Navy was coming. And when they arrived, the Zarthen would learn a lesson they should have understood from the beginning. You don't ambush humans, not if you want to survive. 1 week later, the Galactic Council chamber on the neutral station of Unity 7 was filled with representatives from 40 different species. The chamber was a massive circular room with seats arranged in rising tiers, each section designed for different alien physiologies. Some seats were filled with water for aquatic species. Others were heated for reptilian delegates. Some had low-gravity fields for species from smaller worlds. Ambassador Nicole Turner walked calmly to the speaker's platform in the center. She was a tall woman in her 40s with dark hair and steady eyes. She wore the formal diplomatic uniform of Earth, which was elegant but not ostentatious. Behind her, holographic displays showed the Earth symbol, a blue and green planet surrounded by stars. Nicole had been Earth's representative to the Galactic Council for 3 years. She had negotiated trade agreements, settled disputes, and built relationships with dozens of species. But she had never faced a chamber quite this tense before. The council speaker, a Valorian with purple skin and 6 arms, gestured for silence. The council recognizes Ambassador Turner of Earth. You have been summoned to explain recent human military actions in the Outer Reach sector. Please proceed, Nicole nodded politely. Thank you, Speaker. I understand the Council has concerns about the recent operation conducted by the United Earth Navy. I'm here to address those concerns. A delegate from the Morthian Collective, a tall insectoid being, stood up. Concerns? Ambassador, your military attacked and destroyed multiple vessels, invaded a station, and took over 2,000 beings into custody. This goes far beyond normal anti-piracy operations. The Council demands an explanation. And you'll have one, Nicole said calmly. She gestured, and the holographic displays changed to show information. 1 week ago, a human cargo vessel, the HSS Carolina, was ambushed by Zarthen raiders in human-controlled space. The raiders surrounded the ship, demanded surrender, and threatened to take the crew as slaves. This was not an isolated incident. For the past year, Zarthan raiding groups have attacked over 60 civilian vessels from multiple species, including human, Morthian, Valorian, and others. Another delegate, a small floating creature called a Pixani, spoke in a high-pitched voice. Raiding is a known problem in that sector. Many species have lost ships. Why did humans respond with such overwhelming force? Nicole met the Pixani's gaze. Because we could, and because someone had to. That caused a stir in the chamber. Several delegates began talking at once. The speaker called for order. Nicole continued. The human response was carefully planned and executed. We did not simply destroy the raiders. We captured them. We secured their ships intact. We accessed their computers and found evidence of a massive criminal operation. The raiders had taken 2,117 prisoners from 17 different species. These prisoners were being held at a slave station and sold to buyers across multiple sectors. She gestured again, and images appeared on the displays. They showed the Zarthan station before and after the human operation. They showed freed prisoners of various species being treated by human medical staff. They showed captured raiders in restraints. The United Earth Navy located this station, neutralized its defenses, and freed every single prisoner. No prisoners were harmed during the rescue operation. All prisoners have been returned to their home governments. The Zarthan raiders have been turned over to their own government for prosecution under their laws. A Zarthan delegate stood up, his scales dark with anger. The humans attacked our people. They invaded our territory. This is an act of war. Nicole turned to face him directly. With respect, Delegate Vren, the station was not in Zarthan territory. It was in the Kepler Belt, which is unclaimed space. The raiders were operating illegally, even under Zarthan law. We have provided your government with all evidence. They have accepted custody of the prisoners and acknowledged that these raiders were criminals, not sanctioned military forces. Vren sat down slowly, unable to dispute the facts. The Morthian delegate spoke again. Even if the operation was justified, the scale concerns us. 6 human warships destroyed 4 raider vessels in less than 2 minutes. Your military technology clearly exceeds standard defensive capabilities. Some council members worry that Earth is becoming too powerful. Nicole took a deep breath. This was the real issue, she knew. Not what humans had done, but what they were capable of doing. Let me be very clear about something, she said, her voice calm but firm. Humanity has advanced military technology. This is true. We have invested heavily in defense because we learned the hard way that the galaxy can be dangerous. But having power and using power aggressively are 2 different things. She walked slowly around the speaker's platform as she continued. Consider what humans could have done. We knew where the Zarthan homeworld was. We could have attacked it directly. We could have demanded tribute. We could have taken revenge for every human killed by raiders. We did none of those things. Instead, we targeted only the criminals. We freed all prisoners, not just humans. We turned captives over to their own governments instead of demanding gratitude or payment. The Pixani delegate floated forward slightly. But you eliminated not just the 4 ships that attacked your vessel. Reports say you coordinated operations across the entire sector. Over 50 Zarthan raiding ships were captured or destroyed in simultaneous actions. That's correct, Nicole confirmed. We gathered intelligence about all Zarthan raiding operations in the sector. We shared that intelligence with the governments of affected species and offered joint operations. Some accepted, some declined. Where governments could not or would not act, human forces did, because we have a principle. If you attack one human vessel, you're attacking all of humanity. And we will respond not just defensively, but by eliminating the entire threat. The chamber was silent for a moment. Then an elderly Valorian delegate, one of the senior council members, spoke. Ambassador Turner, you speak of principles. Please explain what you mean by eliminating the threat. Does this mean humans will act as police for the galaxy? Nicole shook her head. No, Counselor. We have no desire to police anyone. We want to trade peacefully, share knowledge, and coexist with all species. But we also believe in deterrence. If raiders know that attacking a human ship means facing the full weight of human military response, they won't attack human ships. And if we can help other species in the process, we will. She paused, letting that sink in. Over the past week, we've received communications from 8 different governments thanking us for returning their citizens. We've been asked by 4 species to negotiate mutual defense agreements. Pirate activity in the Outer Reach sector has dropped to almost 0. Raiders are avoiding the entire region because they know humans patrol there now. These are the results of one operation. The Morthian delegate stood again. So humans expect gratitude for enforcing their will through military might? No, Nicole said softly. We expect nothing. We did what was right because it was right. The prisoners we freed don't owe us anything. The species we helped don't owe us anything. That's not why we did it. Then why? The Morthian asked. Nicole smiled slightly. Because we're human. We protect our own. And when we can, we protect others too. That's who we are. The chamber was quiet. The speaker finally stood. The council will deliberate on this matter. Ambassador Turner, you have given us much to consider. You may return to your quarters while we discuss. Nicole bowed respectfully and left the chamber. Outside, she met with Captain Jake Morrison, who had been waiting. He was in his dress uniform, looking uncomfortable with all the formal attention. How did it go? Jake asked. About as well as could be expected, Nicole said. They're scared of us. Should they be? Nicole considered that. Only if they attack us. Or if they hurt innocent people and we can stop it. Otherwise, no. Jake smiled. That's a very human answer. It's the only answer I have. They walked together through the station's corridors. Through windows, they could see ships from dozens of species docked at the ports. Trade vessels, passenger ships, exploration craft, all moving freely and safely through space. You know what's interesting? Jake said. Before all this happened, I asked the station master how many pirate attacks had been reported in this sector in the past month. He said 15. I asked him yesterday. He said 0. Word travels fast, Nicole observed. Yeah. And the word is, don't mess with humans. Nicole stopped walking and looked out at the stars. I just hope they understand the rest of the message too. What's that? That humans are good allies to have. That we're not bullies or conquerors. That we just want to live in peace, but we're ready for war if necessary. That's the balance we need to strike. Jake nodded. I think you struck it pretty well in there, Ambassador. The Council heard you, and more importantly, I think they understood. 3 days later, the Galactic Council issued their formal statement. They acknowledged that human actions in the Outer Reach sector were lawful anti-piracy operations. They commended Earth for returning freed prisoners to their home governments. And they officially recognized humanity's right to defend its territory and assets with appropriate force. It wasn't exactly an endorsement, but it wasn't a condemnation either. It was acknowledgement. Humans had shown what they could do. Now the